What's going on? It's your boy Dame Smiff, and we are going to chat a little bit about lyrics this evening. And I hope you're ready for this conversation because it's a pretty cool one. And so, if you are ready for this, make sure you hit the like button. And if you want more of this content, make sure you hit the subscribe button. That way, you can see the latest video I drop. So, this evening, our song that we're covering is Letter to the Lost by Payroll Giovanni. Now, this song is actually pretty cool. I haven't had like a lot of, replays on it because it's a pretty straightforward track, but I think for the most part a lot of people will be able to relate to it, especially the fathers of the house and things like that. But I think the biggest takeaway from this lyrically is that there is a push for, at least me personally, for me to find more um introspective rappers because of the delivery it takes for a lot of these lyrics. So it's easier in my opinion to just name brands and things you like doing and cuss a lot and things like that. That's easy to do. But it's really hard to package maybe a perspective you have on the world into something that is, you know, 4/4 and you only got a certain amount of measures to get it done, And I think this song really packs it in. So essentially this is Mr. Giovanni kind of giving a letter to the people who are kind of stuck in a place and maybe feel like they're not really doing the best that they feel they can do. And it's a motivating track. It's a track to kind of give you an idea of what it feels like to either be, in that position, or to kind of, if you are in that position, to motivate you to continue forward and be strong about it. So we're essentially just going to read the lyrics and then I'm going to give my opinion on it as I go. Now, a lot of it has a lot to do with fatherhood and things like that. So you will see a very common trend throughout. So here we have here the beginning. And so it starts here. It's not really set up the way the song would be delivered. We're simply just going to read through it, but it's not too much as far as intricate reading, but it does have a lot of heavy hitting bars. And I think it would really favor you a lot if you could listen along as we read too. But let's get started. It says here, your confidence is low because you need to be accomplishing more. Now, essentially, he's kind of laying the foundation of who he's talking to. He's talking to maybe a person who's maybe feeling like they're behind the eight ball or not doing as much as they would like to be doing or not in the place they want to be. So maybe you're a student in school and you feel like, man, I should be like making millions, but you really are a student in school and that's all it really is. Or maybe you're, not making as much money as you think you should, but you really are just in the exact position you need to be in. Who knows? And he says, as a man, bro, you gotta get dough. You gotta block out them hoes. Gotta miss a few parties. Need some cheese to invest. Sell them chains and them cardies. You want that Honda or Rari? You want a mansion or shack? You gotta get them stacks. You gotta get off your back. You gotta be uncomfortable. Set goals and attack. So this is actually something I preach a lot on this channel right here. And it's really that there's options you have. See, a lot of people will look at these different options and think like, I'm just going to pick the bigger one, the bigger version. But it's really that you just have to set goals and attack. So essentially, if you think like, as a man, I got to get dough, the reason you get it has to be important, right? The character you have is going to really, shape what this looks like when you are getting money. Will you sell anything? Will you do whatever it takes? So he's literally telling you the sacrifices you're going to have to make to just do the thing, but do you have the character to make the proper decision? So like, you got to block out them hoes. Some dudes will be like, well, I could use the hoes. And he's telling you right here, you got to block them out. So you have a choice, you have an option. Then the next one, he says, you got to miss a few parties. Maybe there's some parties that you go to where there's not the coolest group of guys in town. I'm going to make a video soon about like how it's not really smart to be a musician going to venues where you feel like you need to bring weapons and things like that. We're musicians here. We don't need to do that. And so If you need some cheese to invest, meaning if you need money in order to, let's say, buy studio time or buy mics and cameras and stuff like this stuff I'm using here, you can sell things like your chains and them Cardis. That's stuff you bought to impress people. Maybe you have some Jordans, maybe you have a PS5 and things like that. All these things that we all tend to buy that we don't need, you know? And then this is one of the first bars where he starts to kind of present options to you. He says, you want the Honda or the Rari? You want the mansion or the shack? And it kind of gets to put the power back into the audience's hands, meaning like I'm not really subjecting you to my point of view. I'm just kind of asking you the question, what do you want, right? And then he just kind of explains in the next few bars what it takes to get either one. You still have to get them stacks. You got to get off your back and you got to be uncomfortable, set goals and attack. Because even if you want a Honda, you still have to take care of it and treat it like it's yours. And if you get a Rari, you may have to start with the Honda. So what's the point of getting a Rari if you can't even take care of a Honda? There's a lot of gems in this that I think if you don't have certain experiences, you're not really going to be able to break it down. But at first glance, it's pretty straightforward. You know, if you think I just want to get the Rari, this will still be true. You know, you still have to do what you need to do to get the Rari. So let's continue. You want to be for real with it or just put on an act? You want to tell your girl, get it, and yeah, we can go, instead of, nah, I can't afford, we can't go, hell no. You want to show your son how a man's supposed to be. Show your daughter seeing how a man's supposed to speak. And this is kind of just doing the same thing, kind of challenging you to figure out, what do you want to be? How do you want to shape, you know, how you address certain issues, certain questions, certain opportunities in life? And so let's keep going. Them niggas bringing you down? Well, why you even around? Ain't no money around, then why you even in town? So this is actually one of the lines that I can relate to, because not necessarily this first part about people bringing you down, but really the second part about moving around. I'll address the first part. Some people, they'll see people that don't like them and then try to convince them to like them. You don't need to do that. That's not necessarily something you have to do. And that goes across the board from like family members to friends. Like if somebody really does not like you, you don't have to spend the effort to make this person like you. You don't need to convince them. And odds are it probably would cost you too much time to do so. And then the next part where it says ain't no money around, then why you even in town? I've actually had the opportunity to travel a lot, even as a young man, just based on how my parents' lifestyle was. But I've realized that a lot of musicians, they try to set their roots really, really early in their career. And usually what'll happen is all their resources are in one place. So they don't necessarily have a network that expands, you know, outside their state. They don't really have like options as far as what venues to attend or what bands to work with, or, you know, what situations and festivals they can attend. So if there's nothing going on in your city, then what's the point of trying to make it like extra special when you can go out, get money, and then come back and invest into your town and make it great? There's a lot of ways you can, you know, really do this. And I think a lot of artists, we get stuck in terms of like how we feel about a place or how we feel about our career, and it kind of shapes our actions. So let's continue. It says, nigga, move and network before a chain. You should invest first. That way you can cop a Cuban and that'll make your neck hurt. Yeah, make sure your family's set first. Taking care of niggas shit don't ever work. But you can give them some game and you can give them a lane, but they gotta maintain. So he's doing exactly what he's saying here as far as the last few bars there. But we'll break down this whole section here. So he says, move and network, and before a chain, you should invest first. And that's kind of where I'm at in my career. I have no jewelry, none. I buy like custom stuff that I make, equipment. I buy like, you know, stuff that I need. Like I need a cell phone. Make sure I put my money on bills, get gas, groceries, simple stuff, right? So I have no tattoos. I have no jewelry. I bought a $80 pair of shoes, I think about a month ago. And that was the first pair of shoes I bought since I think moved to this state that I'm in now about 4, maybe 5 years ago. Yeah. So I'm not really tripping off of like jewelry and stuff like that. And I think it really just comes down to what I choose to spend my money on, because it's not like I'm not getting my hands on money. It's just that I just don't want to buy those things. They're just not interesting to me. I do have things I want to buy, like there are nice things I want to have, but it's just that as far as understanding that before a chain, you should invest first. I would hate to be the rapper with a really nice chain on, and then you guys came to my shows and I couldn't rap. You know, that would be shameful of me. I wouldn't really enjoy that experience. And then he says that way you can cop a Cuban that'll make your neck hurt, which is pretty much the goal. I do when I buy like my first actual piece of jewelry, I want it to be a pretty nice, pretty little, piece, kind of commemorate my first piece, make it nice. And then it says, yeah, make sure your family's set first. And then that is one other thing too. As far as like the word family, I think people think of others when they think of this word, especially as we start to break down this song further. When you think of family, you tend to think of all the other people except yourself, and you are part of the family. And so make sure your family's set first. So a part of this too, this line that is important is going to be like, well-being, health, mental state, and then finances, of course, which is what this song is about or around, but it all kind of encompasses everything. You literally being the source of what you would want to take care of, you would have to be in a position to do it, and that's key. And so let's continue. And it says, taking care of niggas, shit don't ever work. And that is kind of, it sounds contradictory, right? Make sure your family's set first, taking care of niggas, shit don't ever work. But it's actually a symbiotic relationship. I guess that's the proper word, meaning that there's a difference between taking care of family and just taking care of niggas or people, in a sense to where you're just solving people's problems because you can and not necessarily because you should. And so the next few lines kind of explain why this is important to make that difference. So he says, you can give them some game, you can give them a lane, but they gotta maintain. So these first two bars right here are you taking care of people, but it will never work because they gotta maintain it. So if you ever heard the phrase, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, that's kind of the point here, is that I can teach you how to read and you will be able to read everything you lay your eyes upon within the language I taught you, right? But if I read you books from my own mouth, you will never know if I'm telling you the truth. You'll never know. And that's the key. So you'll never be able to go out and speak the truth. You'll never know if you're speaking the truth unless you know how to read. So that's kind of the point. If I give you some game and I give you a lane, meaning if I maybe show you how to make some money in music, I teach you how to make beats, right? You can do that. And if I give you a lane, like I give you a little YouTube channel for you to sell your beats, it will never be successful if you don't have the work ethic to be consistent, or if you are emotional, if somebody doesn't like your beats, or if it's not working at a pace that you think is fast enough, suddenly you feel like it's not worth it. It'll never work. So let's continue. It says, this is my letter to the lost, my letter to the lost. And that's pretty much the hook. He repeats it. And again, the lost are just people who may not have known this information or may not have made it click. And this video is starting to really click it for them. So if that's you, make sure you leave a comment below. Let me know if this is really going in. So we really only have one more verse, and then we can really get out of here and kind of like take what we're learning today and apply it. So the song continues and says, waiting on folks to help, you're going to stay waiting. And while they going on with life, you're going to end up hating. Thinking somebody owe you. They don't owe you Nathan. Your problems is your own. Nobody finna save you. So this bar is kind of a bar that I think a lot of men can relate with. I'm not too sure if the ladies can relate with this. Let me know, ladies. But I think I've heard more men say this whole nobody's coming to save you thing. And this is coming from this rapper who's saying this. He's actually well off right now. But this is a sentiment that I hear from a lot of men who are well off. And it's that you kind of have to earn your position in life. Meaning, if you look around the world, if you look around the world, there are a lot of, let's say, homeless men. Like if you were a man today and you have both your eyes or one of your eyes, or you can see my face right now, just know that you're doing this on a screen that is a privilege. there are people who have never had that opportunity. And so you're not going to help them. I'm not going to help them. And the only way for them to get help is either some miracle or they do it on their own. And that's kind of the point, where there are people who are just, maybe they have afflictions, addictions, and things going on in their life that they can't control. And it is what it is. And so your problems is your own. Nobody finna save you is kind of the mantra I see a lot of successful men tend to keep with them. And it must work in terms of keeping your mind on solving problems instead of complaining about them. And so he continues and says, if they give you shit, that's going to cripple you. If they show you how to eat, it'll triple you. So he goes back to the lead a horse to water kind of sentiment. And he says, or more, you got to go through the struggle, got to take a loss, learn how to manage wins that you come across. So managing wins is one thing that I'm noticing from another YouTube creator that I'm seeing online. He really stresses that a lot of people struggle from lifestyle creep, where let's say like tomorrow I get like a major deal somewhere, like somebody's like, yo, I heard your one song, here's like $17 million, we want to play it all over the world, right? And I accept the money, and then all of a sudden I just start buying a whole bunch of stuff I wanted in the world. That's pretty much an extreme version of what lifestyle creep is. A more realistic version of it would be like, you start eating out more. You start buying kava instead of going to the biggie bag meal and things like that. So those little things will start to eat at the things that make you successful. So a non-financial example would be that you've ever seen people who get into the gym and like want to get a dream body, and then they start to get it, and then they start to take a break on their dream body. They start to miss a couple days in the gym. You start to see them sneaking a little more candy out through the week. That's kind of what that is. You got to be able to manage wins. So if you're able to, get a big win, a big investment, or a big show, you got to be able to take control of that and turn it into something bigger, or keep the train moving. And so he continues and says, being broke, I teach you how not to fuck it off. So if you ever been broke and then you get it and then you lose it, then you had, something valuable before. If you get blessed with the opportunity to get what you loved a second time, you'll know how to treat it properly. But the thing is that this verse opens up telling you that nobody's coming to save you. So you may not get a second chance, which is why you want to learn how to maintain and manage wins, which has been stressed throughout this song a lot, because you will need all of these characteristics and these skills and these tactics together in order to really do what you need to do. And so when you go broke, it really does teach you that this is what you're missing. You're missing consistency. You're missing a little bit more urgency. You're missing, let's say, a little more tact in terms of how you're making your decisions. And it'll prove basically in the results that you're getting. So if every day you're waking up and you're losing money, it's like, okay, we need to change something. It makes it obvious. So let's continue. It says, it's on you to soak this shit, or you can just brush it off. You want to change your life? It's never too late, but you got to be the one that wants to elevate. It's on you. If they just take, got to keep them away. That real shit you did a while back don't count today. So fuck people pleasing. You can give them your all and they'll hate you for no reason. So let's stop here. So again, he reiterates that he's giving you a choice. It's on you to soak this shit, or you can brush it off. And that simply means like everything that we've gone through in this video today, you can turn it off and you can go back to watching memes, Fresh and Fit, or whatever you love. But you can either do that, or you can spend the next 24 hours trying to really get to what you really want to get to. And then he continues to say, you want to change your life? It's never too late. So you could be 55 watching this video. I'm 32. You could be 55 and you can still make a change. The idea of you not having enough time only really hits when you like 70 and you can't really do much. But I mean, even still, you have your mind, you can still speak, and we still want to, be educated. There's skills you can still get. Then he says, but you got to be the one that wants to elevate. It's on you. And that goes back to nobody's coming to save you. If you don't want it, then why should we fight for you? And if they just take, gotta keep them away. He's reiterating that if there's people who are doing only consumption, like they don't add to you, they don't help you do anything, then you may want to nip them in the bud. They're almost like a liability in your investment portfolio. And then he says that real shit you did a while back don't count today. So a lot of people, they peak in high school or they'll peak in college or at some point in their life. They never really go past that point and they'll shape an entire lifestyle around it. But eventually it won't matter anymore because it'll be a new generation and a new time and a new culture. And he continues to say, so fuck people pleasing. You can give them your all and they'll hate for no reason. Yeah, and that's actually true. So that goes back to why you need to be the source of your creativity and your success. And then let's continue on. He says, you can still win. You still breathing. You can be starving and end up feasting. Just got to give it your all. Don't curl up in a ball. Show the world you a dog, nigga. This is my letter to the lost. And so I think of most people, when they hear this song for the first time, it's really going to hit them hard. But I think the key thing they need to take away is that it's motivational, and try to look at it as like, all right, I'm in control of what do I want. And that's kind of the gist of this whole channel here, is to really show artists that you really are in control as far as, you know, shaping what kind of music you want to put out, what music exists in the music industry. But you have to be intentional and you have to be aware of what you're up against. So if this was awesome, if you love this and you want to see more breakdowns like this, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. And I will see y'all tomorrow night. I'm out, y'all. Peace.